So the workshop that I'm about to do here today is that I'm going to construct music out of a single source. The workshop is called Creating Music with Vocals. And when you think of vocals, you're thinking about somebody singing, right? The reality is that you can really make any kind of sound out of a source. Basically, I'm going to be working with a very short piece of audio, and I'm going to construct most of the sounds to get a sketch and everything going. And you know, we live in this world where we have so many instruments at our disposal and so many sounds on hand, and I think that it's great that we have all of this, but at the same time, it kind of spoils some of us, and we start to lose some of the creativity and really trying to think outside of the box of what we can do with a very small source. I have gone and set up the track to record. I'm going to keep the monitoring off when I do the recording. I'm going to go ahead and record engage the track, and we can see that signal is now coming in, and I'm going to go ahead and record something. So hi, I'm Chris Petti, and I love the sound of my own voice. Okay. So we've got the source material here, okay? It might not seem like much what I've got going on here. Let's play this back and let's listen to how horrible my voice sounds captured through the $100 microphone. Hi, I'm Chris Petti, and I love the sound of my own voice. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and move this over. And we're going to take a look at the clip closer. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get rid of all of the excess data that I have here. One of the coolest things that we can do with digital audio is time stretching. And even though we can do a lot of things inside the box, one of my favorite things to do is mangle audio with freeware programs. And I use them on the iPad, I use them on the iPhone. There's programs on Windows that doesn't exist on OS X. And these are really nothing more than just mangling kinds of tools. So I'm actually going to, if you haven't seen one, I'm going to introduce you to one of these tools right now. What I'm going to do is, while live is running here, I'm going to go ahead and highlight this clip. And what I want to do is I just want to get it outside of live for a moment so that I can do a couple of things to it, and then I'm going to bring it back in. So I'm going to export it at 16-bit, 44.1. Actually, let's do it at 24-bit. And let's get it down to the desktop. The range is exactly what it needs to be. Okay, so now we've got this exported. Okay, so I'm just going to hide live for a quick second. So we can see that it's on the desktop here as an audio file. This program actually that I'm about to pull up is freeware. It's something that anybody can download. It was actually created back in the early 1990s, and it's really kind of a little bit of a secret weapon amongst the sound design community. So the tool is called SoundHack. And what I'm going to do with SoundHack is I'm going to open up my audio file. Now that we've got it into SoundHack, I can play it back. Hi, I'm Chris Petti, and I love the sound of my own voice. Okay. So what SoundHack allows you to do is a bunch of DSP-based functions that you wouldn't necessarily be able to do inside the host applications. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to normalize the file because I want to be dealing with it at full volume. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do this thing called phase vocoding. What phase vocoding is that we can kind of think of it as time stretching, but it is a ridiculous kind of time stretching that's not going to be possible to be done inside any of the host applications. So I'm going to go and pull up, just make a couple of settings here to change things around so that I get the result that I'm looking for. I'm going to go ahead and set the length of it. The original length of this was 4 seconds, 4.632 seconds. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and make the resulting file 120 seconds, which is going to be 2 minutes long. So let's go ahead and hit the process button and export it to the desktop. And say save. There we go. So just to let you hear exactly what the resulting file was with this, we'll just listen to just a short little bit of it and everything. It's really truly a magical kind of result that it does with it. It's not going to sound like the warping or the time stretching inside any of the other programs. So let's just check it out quickly. We're not going to listen to the whole thing. I'm going to bring it back into live so that I can monkey around with it. So what we're going to do with the file is we're going to take it and drop it back into live. So let me just copy it, and let me go to timeline here. And what I'm going to do is I'll put it into the timeline so that we can see the whole thing visually, because it'll make a little bit more sense when we can see it. We can see these select artifacts and everything and the different parts. So it made a 2-minute audio file out of this stretch and everything. And it kept the fidelity of some of the stretch tones in a way that you wouldn't necessarily get from conventional time stretching. It's not designed to stretch to fit into the timeline or to stretch to a tempo. This is truly, purely just a creative tool for doing this kind of stuff. So what I want to do is I want to basically take this down to a more microscopic level of parts. So let me just advance to a couple of selections here and find something that's going to work for the next thing. What I want to do is I want to construct a kick drum. That's what I'm going to do out of this audio. That's it right there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight this tiny little area right here, and I'm going to do a Command L just so that we can hear exactly what I'm taking. Okay, I'm going to use Command E to extract just that one little piece. So as I had said, I am a huge lover of sampling. So I'm going to go to my instruments and I'm going to pull in Live's Uber sampler device, simply because it's going to give me a lot more options and a lot more functions than I would have with Simpler. And I'm going to go ahead and drop it here into the sampler. I'm also going to right click and crop the sample so that we can see just that particular event. So if I strike the key now, and let's go ahead and normalize it inside the sampler. Normalize volumes. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to shape a kick drum out of all of this, okay? So the first place that I'm going to start is with my volume envelope. How does a kick drum play out over time? Does it have a constantly sustaining type of tone? Nope. It hits, it's got a transient, and then it dies off. So let's go ahead and shape the volume to do this, okay? Okay, so the volume is shaped similar to the way that this should be shaped. However, there is another thing that goes on with a kick drum. I would like you to close your eyes and imagine a mallet hitting against an acoustic kick drum in super slow motion. What happens to the drum head? It expands and then contracts. And when it does this, there's a sharp pitch change on it. So if I go here to the pitch and oscillator page, I'm going to go ahead and engage my pitch envelope, and I'm going to turn the amount up. Okay, so I think we're getting closer to the kick drum. So it's got a little bit more of a tone than I would necessarily want. Perhaps maybe what I'll do is I'll use a little bit of filter on it as well. Now, effect processing is huge with this stuff. So I'm going to go to Audio Effects, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and take an overdrive, because I want to put a little bit of distortion onto this as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's take another instance of, let's actually take this instance of sampler. We're going to leave it alone on the same track. I'm going to go ahead and make another track, and let's go ahead and pull up another instance of sampler. And let's drop it here. And then we'll find another event, maybe the same one. Let's go a little bit further, just see if there's something else that's kind of cool. Okay. I believe that that is going to serve double duty for my hi-hat and for my snare. So let's go ahead and extract this range, and then let's go back to the sampler and let's drop this in, and let's crop it. And I'm also going to go ahead and normalize the sample as well, normalize the volumes. So when I strike the key on this, okay, so again, going back to shaping the actual snare, it's not going to have an indefinite sustain the way that a solid tone or a bass tone would. It's going to die off just the way that the kick drum did. So let's go ahead and I'm probably going to have to do some pitch changes to the tone because it's not going to match up. Let's check it out. Let's actually crop this again as well. And let's lower the volume of the first one, the second one, because it's a little bit loud in comparison. Okay, so we've got the combination of the tone and the noise, which would make up what the actual snare is. So I'm going to go ahead, and again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to process the sound. I'm going to use some overdrive on it and drive it just a little bit harder. This time I'm going to use a different frequency response range. I'm not going to do it down at the bottom end because it's going to be all bassy, so we're going to use it in the mid-range somewhere. Okay, so let's go ahead and group these two parts together into an instrument rack. And let's go ahead and take the first one that we did also, and we're going to go ahead and put it together into an instrument rack as well. So we've got this chain where it's combined with the effect and the sampler. So let's just check the kick out. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this entire chain that I have here for the drum rack, I'm sorry, for the snare sound, and I'm just going to duplicate it. And with the duplicate version of this, I'm going to go back into it. And remember I told you that the raspiness that I had with creating the snare, that's really what's going to make up my hi-hat here also. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get rid of the solid tone on this. So this is going to be relatively easy. Let's go ahead and make a short. Okay, so sampler actually does FM synthesis to sounds as well, and this actually will account for a more metallic edge to the sound too. So let's go ahead and apply just a little bit of FM to it. Now let's go ahead and put an EQ on this so that we can filter out the bottom end so that it loses the bass tones, because there is a little bit of bassiness to it. So let's go ahead and put it here, then let's cut the bottom end. And let's adjust the frequency. Okay, so now I've got the three main elements that I would need to construct this drum beat, right? So the next thing to do is that I want to put it all into a place where I can trigger it all from the keys at the same time instead of having to do this across multiple tracks. So that was actually why I grouped things into the instrument racks here. So I'm going to go ahead, and one of the beautiful things about the way Live works is that everything can be copied and pasted between different objects and between different devices. So I'm going to go ahead and create another MIDI track, and I'm going to load in a drum rack into the mixture. In fact, yeah, I'm going to do it this way. And I'm going to go to the kick drum. I should probably be naming these parts as I go along, which is what I think the next step is here. So let me just rename this kick, because I'm losing track of what I'm seeing here. Okay, so let's go ahead now and let's group this to a drum rack. I think it's completely memorized here. Okay, so let's go ahead and change the pitch. Okay, so what I will do is I will take the parts here, and I'm just going to quickly sequence out the different elements. So this is where my kick drum is. So let's go ahead and let's just make a kick drum pattern here. And let's go here and there. And let's go ahead and duplicate the loop. And duplicate it one more time. And then let's get rid of this and that, and put one there, and get rid of these, and make one here. So basically, the pattern that it's going to play back now is okay. So I'm just going to extend it out a little bit. And let's just go ahead and place the snares into the timeline where they need to hit. So let's go to the third one, the third beat, and let's duplicate the loop again, and we'll set it up so that it's exactly the same length as the kick one was. And now if I play the two parts back together, all right, so I'm going to go to the next part, which is now going to be the closed hat. And I'm going to go ahead and just make a pattern with this. Let's see, it's still in an instrument rack, so let's go to C3. Let's turn the preview on, find the right note for this. All right, let's go here, and let's just duplicate this out, I'm going to go ahead and make some adjustments to the velocity because I want it to be a little bit more dynamic, like the way that an actual drummer would play the part. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere to this strong beat, weak beat, and you're not hearing any changes go on yet because I haven't made sampler adjust to this. So let's go ahead and highlight all of these pieces, duplicate, 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 and let's duplicate the entire loop out and duplicate it one more time. And then I'm going to go into sampler, and I'm just going to go ahead and go to my volume and set the velocity to be responsive, and let's turn the volume down. So now if we listen back to this,
Welcome to Dubspot. We believe in providing you hands-on experience right away. Whether you're completely new to music and want to turn the sounds in your head into a musical reality, or you're an experienced artist looking to refine your skills and add new tools to your arsenal, we're ready to meet you at your level. For students of all ages, all levels, and all styles of music, Dubspot is here to help you achieve your goals. With course offerings both online wherever you are and at our school in the heart of New York City, we are ready to guide you through the next phase of your musical transformation. Whether you want to produce music, DJ, or do both, you've come to the right place. Come explore Dubspot for yourself. Become a part of our community and make music.